General of the Legal Matters.
Okay then. Secretary Purisima, please proceed. If you have the lights dim so that... I understand this is a PowerPoint presentation.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for calling this hearing of this very important issue. Let me just give a brief background of the case.
Yung mga web ko kailangan yung sumasabay.
The era of the law was passed. It mandated the restructuring of National Power Corporation. The National Power Corporation of the past was actually split into several entities. And to do this, employees had to be moved or retired. As we will see later, the bulk of them were retired by the surviving entities. In 2014, the court sheriff demanded from NPC a payment of 62 billion, and a notice of garnishment of their assets was also issued. Now, let me go back to when they were retrenched. When they were retrenched in 2002-2003, a total of 9.09 billion was paid to all the employees, for an average of about 1.09 million each. This is about 1.5 months pay, as opposed to what the law requires, which is about half a month pay. In fact, in some discussions with Senator Osmeña, he said that the Senate and Congress was actually consulted then on the amount of the retrenchment pay. Out of the 9,021 employees that were affected, 7,127 employees were rehired by NPC, PISAM, and Transco. The others retired. In fact, of the 7,127 employees that were rehired, some were rehired immediately the next day after they were retrenched from NAPOCOR, some a month later. The important thing to point out, though, Mr. Chair, is that all of them were paid a severance pay, and of the 9,021, 7,127 were rehired. So
excuse me, Mr. Secretary, you mean some were 9,000 were retrenched, and then some of them, 7,000, were rehired the next day?
3,300 were rehired the next day.
3,300 were rehired the next day after receiving 1 million.
After receiving the severance pay.
Of approximately $1 million.
On average.
On an average.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then 5,800 were rehired within a month's time. So in the next slide, we're going to show a sampling of how much employees receive. So this is a sampling of some of the payments that were given at the time. Now, how much additional compensation do the drama employees demand? The total, actually based on the court decision, is 60.2 billion for the employees. This is an average of about 7.5 billion per employee on top of what they already have received before. And the salaries that they
kanina malungkot ka, bro.
Since then. Because
malungkot ka kanina.
a lot of them are still with
kanina malungkot ka, makatabi mo siya.
and Transco. Of the 60.2 billion, 6 billion will be lawyers' fees for the two lawyers that represented the employees. And the court fees is 1.8 billion, which brings it to 62 billion pesos. So the question, Mr. Chair, is are we liable to pay the DAMA employees 62 billion pesos? The only basis, based on, and correct me, Soldier, if I'm wrong here, on the decision is that the board meeting of NAPOCOR, when the retrenchment was approved, did not have enough principals in attendance. I think that is the only basis. But as is standard practice in government, they are represented by duly authorized alternates. Plus the fact that I understand subsequently after that board meeting, the principals themselves in next meeting affirmed this retrenchment. Plus the fact that the retrenchment was also only in accordance with what the Imperial Law provided. So that is, as far as we see, the only basis why they're now saying that the government will have to shell out 62 billion pesos. Just to show the magnitude of 62 billion pesos, that's almost the budget for the conditional cash transfer program for a year, covering over 4.3 million families. And this is no joke. We believe that this is not a necessary expense of government and has no basis at all. Now, if the garnishment is implemented, how will this affect the public? Now, if the sheriffs insist on garnishment, we believe that potentially it can trigger a cross default of the existing 329 billion loans of PISAM. And this can be called immediately. And this can result to a domino effect on other debt of the government. That's why we instructed the board that this needs approval of Congress as well as COA. Now, the 62 billion will only have a few places to go. Either it goes to the consumers or it goes to the taxpayers. It has nowhere else to go. So,
at this point, excuse me, I'd like to acknowledge the arrival of Senator Sergio's men. Good morning, sir. Please proceed, Mr. Secretary.
So, if PISAM were to absorb it, we believe that based on the rough computation of the team, it will result to an increase in universal charge of 0.2122 for Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Obviously, if we allow a cross default, we will never allow. It could also create additional cost. A cross default, of course, is a worst case scenario assumption. But being the financial manager of the government, we cannot allow that because it will affect our credit rating moving forward. The next slide only emphasizes what I mentioned earlier, what 62 billion can buy us if we were not used for this purpose. At this point, I'll turn over the presentation to the Solgen, who will now walk us through the timeline of events. Thank you.
Thank you. Attorney Sison.